Today, we are going to talk about how we actually diagnose allergic disorders, the tests we use, what they tell us, what they miss, and how to put it all together at the bedside. You cannot make a definitive allergy diagnosis from a single lab result. You need all three pillars converging: clinical history, physical exam, and diagnostic tools. This is a critical exam concept. If the question gives you an elevated AGE but no supporting history or physical findings, that alone does not confirm an allergic disorder. All three must align. A positive lab without a correlating clinical story is an incomplete diagnosis. This distinction matters clinically and on the NCLEX. Atopic patients have a genetic blueprint that makes them overrespond to common inhaled or ingested proteins. Their immune systems are wired to overproduce IgE. These patients often have multiple atopic conditions simultaneously: asthma, allergic rhinitis, atopic dermatitis. Watch for that clustering. Non-atopic patients, think latex allergy, have no genetic pattern. Latex can trigger IgE-mediated anaphylaxis or type 4 contact dermatitis depending on the exposure. Same allergen, completely different mechanism. Think of allergy diagnosis as a funnel. You move from broad systemic indicators at the top down to precise allergen-specific confirmation at the bottom. CBC and eosinophil count first, then total serum IgE, then skin testing, the gold standard, then serum-specific IgE if skin testing isn't safe, and finally, provocative testing when you still can't pinpoint the exact trigger. Each level narrows the field. You don't jump straight to provocative testing on day one. When you look at a CBC for an allergic workup, the total WBC is usually normal, unless there's concurrent infection or inflammation. Your diagnostic target is the differential, specifically the eosinophil percentage. Normal is 2 to 5%. Above 5 to 10% raises the flag for allergic disease. Exam trap: eosinophilia is not limited to blood. You can find elevated eosinophils in sputum and nasal secretions too, which matters when your patient's symptom is respiratory. Total serum IgE tells you whether the patient has an allergic tendency. It says the system is primed for IgE-mediated reactions. What it does not tell you is which allergen is responsible. That is the critical limitation. And here's another clinical pearl, your textbook notes. Elevated IgE is not exclusive to allergy. Parasitic infections and certain immune conditions can also drive IgE up, so always correlate with the patient's full clinical picture before concluding it's allergic in origin. Skin testing is the gold standard, the most accurate method we have for identifying specific allergens. A positive result is the wheal and flare reaction. A raised itchy bump, that's the wheal, surrounded by diffuse redness. That's the flare. This happens because IgE on local mast cells cross-links with the test allergen, triggering immediate degranulation and histamine release right under the skin. The result must always be correlated with history. A positive skin test in a patient with no relevant symptoms is not clinically actionable by itself. Here are some critical safety rules. One absolute contraindication is to never perform skin testing during active bronchospasm. The patient's airways are already reactive. You could trigger a fatal bronchospastic cascade. Step-up protocol. Always start with scratch or prick tests before going intradermal. Intradermal delivers more allergen deeper into tissue and carries higher systemic risk. Emergency equipment must be at the bedside because anaphylaxis is a real possibility, and for medication holds. Antihistamines and corticosteroids suppress the skin reactivity, so you get a falsely negative result. They must stop 48 to 96 hours before testing. If a patient takes their Benadryl the morning of the test, your results are meaningless. Learn this grading scale that you will use it in clinical practice. Negative, no wheal, minimal redness. Test is non-reactive. 1+, 5 to 8 millimeter wheal with redness, mild reactivity. 2+, 7 to 10 millimeters with redness and moderate. 3+, 9 to 15 millimeters with possible pseudopodia. Those are the irregular projections at the edges of the wheal, significant reactivity. 4 plus, 12 millimeters or more with definite pseudopodia and diffuse redness, highly reactive. False positives happen. Improper preparation or administration technique can produce a wheal that doesn't reflect true allergen sensitivity. The serum-specific IgE test, formerly called RAST, detects allergen-specific IgE circulating in the blood. Your key clinical indication: use it when skin testing is contraindicated, unsafe, or when the patient cannot hold their antihistamines or corticosteroids. It has 3 advantages over skin testing. No risk of systemic reaction. It uses stable antigens that don't degrade, and medications don't interfere. Trade-offs: it is less sensitive than skin testing. Allergen selection is more limited. Results take longer, and it costs more. Use this comparison table to think clinically, not just academically. Skin testing wins on accuracy and allergen selection breadth, but it requires emergency prep, medication holds, and carries systemic reaction risk. Serum-specific IgE wins on safety. It's a blood draw, no reaction risk, no medication holds, but it loses on sensitivity and gives you delayed results at higher cost. The decision between them is driven by your patient's current clinical status and medication list. If your patient is on long-term corticosteroids, they can't safely stop. Serum IgE is your path forward. Provocative testing is the most direct but highest-risk diagnostic method. You apply the allergen directly to the target organ, eye, nasal passage, bronchial tree, or GI tract, and watch for a reaction. This is useful when multiple allergens have tested positive and you need to identify which one is actually driving the patient's symptoms. Critical limitation: 1 allergen per session only. And the bronchial provocation carries life-threatening risk. You are deliberately triggering bronchospasm in a patient's airways. This test requires intensive monitoring and full emergency preparedness. This is your synthesis slide. Pull all 4 data streams together, and you get actionable management. Baseline risk tells you who your high-risk patient is before any test is run. History, exam, atopic status. Systemic markers, CB/C eosinophils, and total IgE, tell you whether the immune system is primed for allergic response. Specific trigger identification, skin and serum tests, points you to the allergen. And targeted response testing, provocation, confirms organ-specific reactivity when everything else is ambiguous. None of these streams works alone. Together, they build the management plan. In summary, eosinophils above 5 to 10% on the differential, let them flag it. Elevated total IgE supports allergic tendency, doesn't name the allergen. Serum-specific IgE is your safer alternative when skin testing can't be done. Skin testing remains the gold standard. Wheal and flare is your positive result. Medication washout is mandatory, and emergency equipment is non-negotiable. Grade the reaction precisely. Use the funnel, broad to narrow, systemic to specific, and always correlate every result with your clinical story.